How many of you have been taught to follow this traditional path where you're taught to work hard, get a good education, stable job, and find a nice fancy house with a big mortgage, which leads to working every hour of the day just to earn enough income to retire 65 and finally die? But that's crazy thinking because I followed that traditional path. I would have never had time to take 6 sabbaticals, totaling almost 3 years since leaving my job as an environmental engineer, and I certainly would have never been able to grow my wealth by over 280K a year through stocks and real estate while enjoying my time off with my kids, traveling, and playing tennis all year round. There are clearly other ways where you can enjoy life much earlier than 65 and even juggle the balance between a career and your family. But with everyday life expenses on the rise, quitting a 9 to 5 job isn't exactly always possible. But there are options. I want to share 3 non-traditional paths of allowing you to embrace mini retirement without trading off financial stability. Number 1, extreme savings. You know that quote, extreme life savings is like living a few years of your life like most people won't so that you can live a life like others can't. One classic approach is to save your way to taking a mini retirement. Now, instead of just taking a week or 2 off, imagine taking a whole year off, enjoying your time with your friends, family, traveling, or just doing whatever you want. Now, the extreme version of this approach is taking 50% of your income and take a mini retirement every 2 years or so. I know it might sound crazy, but think about it. If you make 60 grand a year and your living costs are around 30K, you technically could take every other year off as long as you save 50% of your income. I know, I hear you.
Saving 50% is not feasible.
I totally understand. But the point is to build a habit of savings towards a goal, the goal of taking a mini retirement. So by living well below your means and being super intentional about your spending, you can build a nest egg to finance your next mini retirement. Let's make it super easy peasy for you. I'm going to share a timeline to save for sabbatical based on different savings rates for a person that has life expenses of 30K a year. Here's how many years it would take to save enough for a mini retirement for someone who has an income of 60K and has life expenses around 30K a year. So the formula for buying back your time is right here. So for example, if your savings rate is 10%, then it would take 9 years before you could take your next mini retirement. Now imagine if you had a 75% savings rate. It would literally take you 0.33 of a year. So bottom line, the higher the savings rate, the sooner you can get to your next mini retirement. Now I know this is crazy. No one's going to save 75%, especially not at the start. Now start with something that's super achievable for you. Start with 10% and then eventually stretch it to 12%. 15%. If that mini retirement is super important to you, you will find ways to start increasing your savings rate. For example, you could cut back on discretionary expenses like Uber, not eating out all the time, not buying that expensive $8 latte every single day. The second way is extreme investing. And that's really where I focus my effort. Now, using the same example of having $30,000 of life expenses, how would you make this work with extreme investing? Here's an idea. You could save aggressively into dividend growth stocks, which are essentially stocks that just pays you income for holding on to the company. And if you invest consistently every year, your dividend snowball compounds, meaning the income starts growing over time. So for example, if you had $200,000 and you plunked it into a 5% yield, you would generate $10,000 of passive income without doing any work. Now you're already 1/3 of the way there.
Now I know 200K is like, who has 200K?
So that's why I want to show you a very approachable and accessible method, which is house hacking, which is something that I've also done. Essentially, you just keep your living expenses super low because you have someone else living in your house subsidizing your expenses. So if you have that basement that's not doing anything and you maybe could convert it to an apartment suite, or you have an extra bedroom, you can rent it out on Airbnb as short-term rentals. Or maybe you love learning new languages and new cultures. Well, you can get a foreign student and make it a win-win situation. Believe it or not, in Ottawa, you can rent out a room to a foreign student for $900 a month and create a win-win situation by helping a student out in a foreign country. And and learn their culture. Now, using a conservative $900 a month over a course a year, that's over $10,000. Now, other ways is investing in cash flowing rental properties where your tenant pays down your mortgage and has a place to stay. And that way, your cash flow starts increasing year over year. And if you have enough of it, you'll eventually have enough cash flow to subsidize your next mini retirement. Third way is entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship can be a super powerful way for designing a life that allows you to take extended breaks like 1-year mini retirements. So here are a few ways you can use entrepreneurship to make your dream a reality. Number one, build a remote business where you can work wherever you go. You might have some skills to offer or teach, like tutoring, or you might have a specialized skill set where you can consult people on. With the rise of remote work, especially since 2020, it's increasingly possible to run a business from anywhere in the world. You can build assets to create more and more passive income streams like books, ebooks. With ChatGPT, it's becoming easier to write a book or create a course, teaching a skill that you have, or collecting ad revenue and brand partnerships through social media. Imagine by building a remote business, you could work anywhere and take extended breaks if you really want to, or even work part-time while you're taking extended breaks. For example, it was during my mini retirements that I was able to build my online courses, helping Canadian DIY investors to become more confident investing in stocks, in real estate, in Canada, and ultimately design their best life. Another example is you can create a lifestyle business. A lifestyle business is simply a business that supports you in your desired lifestyle. And you're not out to make $1 billion. And most importantly, it must be a business that you absolutely enjoy running. It could be social media marketing, communications consultant, change management consultant, or becoming a virtual assistant. When I took a whole year off just before my kids went to school, I realized I really enjoy working and learning and growing. So I experimented with management consulting. I took a contract and I realized it was fueling me every single day. And by experimenting, I realized what type of projects I really, really loved working on, which were science and environmental projects. So I started taking on contracts ranging from 2 to 3 years in that field. So for you, if you don't know what you want to do, the best thing is experiment. Just start getting comfortable with the uncomfortable because that's where the magic happens. My biggest thing is don't take anything too seriously. Now here's 3 actionable steps. First step is figure out which approach you want to take. I don't encourage you to do all 3 all at once because that could be super overwhelming. Easiest one is start with the savings rate and just make it consistent. Then, if investing is not doing it for you, then evolve to building a side business. But experiment. No matter what, you'll be progressing forward. Number 2, say you're short on your expenses. Your life expense is $30K a year, but you're like, even with investing, house hacking, and all that, and savings, you're still shy of that $30K of annual expenses. Well, you can actually draw from your RRSP because you're the lowest tax bracket when you take your time off. So that's just a buffer or safety margin that most people don't even know about. And you won't be paying a lot of taxes because you're in the lowest income tax bracket. Number 3, if you have a partner in crime, make sure he or she is very, very comfortable with it. Maybe finance your mini retirement. I'm not joking about this. I actually had to speak to my husband about taking a mini retirement, taking a huge pay cut. But no matter what, if you really want to take those mini retirements, just be creative. I'm sure you consistently take massive action. You'll find a way to take extended breaks and live your best life sooner than you think. If you love practical and actionable advice and learn to build $1,000 of passive income every single month in an approachable manner, then watch this video here. But before you click on it, make sure you hit the subscribe button and that bell notification button if you want to grow your wealth.